Hey, check it out. Came to the job site this morning expecting to start working on our ceiling, which is what we're prepping for. We're getting the scissor lift cleaned out so we can lay our steel up there. But my buddy Juan and his partner showed up this morning super early, and they already are going to town on our wall insulation. So this is an R19 fiberglass bat, and they source this, so I don't source it directly, although I can get the material. And they use, because I know this is a question that I get often, they use these cap nails, and this holds the insulation in place. It is a friction fit bat, which means friction alone is gonna help hold it together. But these will just, aid in keeping it up over time, because this is entirely filling our cavity. As you can see here, I mean, this is our 2x6 column and it's protruding out, but we don't want to use a ton of these because these are, thermal bridges from the outside. And that's what's so great about post frame is that we have these large bays that have zero bridges between outside and inside, creating a great thermal break and a high R value. So once you take care of the air infiltration with our weather barrier, and then we do that vapor barrier on the inside, which obviously not every location is suitable to have a vapor barrier, but post frame lends itself to a very high efficiency building structure when it's done properly. So we got that nice rodent barrier down here, and we're also going to put that interior grade board like you see over here, so that insulation is getting tucked in here, providing a nice thermal break from our floating concrete slab inside and the outside. All right, it is time to get our ceiling. Yes, black ceiling. Oh my God, it's gonna be, Greg, it's gonna be so dark, dude. You think it's gonna be okay in there?
No, we'll be all right.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. We've done it before.
Okay.
And what we've got going on is up here in our lift, Zach just got this all set up. We've got some framing underneath, which sits in the flat of our metal. And we got some protection because of the black is, obviously we gotta be careful. And we'll just go ahead and rotate it right into the lift so it goes right up on the ceiling. You guys probably seen it, but I think it's a great way to do this. So up here running the plastic, the first thing we did was we came through and we snapped a line at the dimension that we knew we were gonna need to be at, because the biggest thing that we wanted to accomplish with this ceiling is we want these ribs on the outside of the building to line up with the ribs on the inside, so that when the customer goes ahead and pokes a hole out for any plumbing, maybe a vent pipe for their furnace, everything lines up and you don't go through like the flat of a panel on the inside and then hit a rib on the outside. So we did that calculation. We got all of our sheets ripped. Now we're running this vapor barrier here, which not everybody requires a vapor barrier. We like to do it. We have metal skin exterior. We don't want that moisture going through our insulation and attaching itself to the backside of our metal when it's cold and then condensing. So what we do is we just ran this. We got it a little bit long, you can see, and we're gonna take these pieces of what we call ceiling trim. Some people refer to it as an F and J. If you look at it, it kind of looks like the letter F with a J, and that's gonna allow us to put our ceiling steel in as well as our side steel. So we like to just run our vapor barrier a little bit long on the wall. Oh, this gun does not like it when it is cold and wet out. Okay, well, that was an epic fail. That means we get to do some, we're gonna have to figure that out before we get into our ceiling here, huh? So what that does is gonna kind of encapsulate the ceiling cavity, and then we're gonna come back in and we're gonna run another layer of vapor barrier down our walls once we get this insulation all done here. So we'll kind of show you that as we go, but we're gonna run this trim out so we can start running our ceiling. Black ceiling's going up nice. It's working out pretty good. One of the things we do to try to keep it going straight after we snapped that first initial line for the first run, you can see right here we've got a stagger joint, but we don't just run that stagger all the way through. We do an 8-foot stagger. So we run 3 sheets at a time. Our lift is able to do basically 9 foot of steel at one, I guess, pass. So we run all of these sheets through these 3. Then when we go to the next set, we stagger it by 8 foot. And what that does is it helps by, if your joint is getting either behind or ahead, when you run that full 16-footer through that joint and it then ends up in the middle of that sheet, it can self-align itself back out. And it's not perfect. You still have to, take consideration. You can't just run them. But once you get pretty good at making sure that your laps are always the same and consistent when you put that good rib over top of your siphon, it will run pretty straight. Now, obviously, another big key factor is, good material. So if you run into issues with the roll former and things aren't consistent, you can get off there as well. But so far it's going pretty good. I know it looks dark right now, but a lot of that has to do with the camera. Insulators, they wrapped up. They did a great job. Ooh, looks like that guy's running low on battery. I always have the insulators go ahead and run spray foam around the perimeter of the windows also. We'll trim this back before we go ahead and trim the actual jamb. Go 84 and 5/8, Zach. 84 and 5/8. You can take that line off
and then add 3.5 to that.
Yeah, 84 and 5/8 plus 3.5. So just go ahead and go 88 inches. Take 3.5 off of it, okay? Maybe take like 3 and 5/8. So when doing plastic, cut yourself up cardboard from the box, use it like a washer, throw a few staples in it, and it makes it incredibly hard to pull that plastic off. Way better than just pounding staples through your plastic. So this is a 4 mil plastic is what we're using here. Nice thing about the dual fast stapler is it's got a pretty heavy head and a nice flat top. So if any of your staples don't go in all the way, just flip it over and you can set them in really nice. Also, another tip, when you're running your plastic in the corner, the way we frame at least is we wait to frame after our vapor barrier is installed so that we can tuck it in nice and tight. It's going to keep our insulation tight with that friction fit bat. But the thing we have to remember is you can't run these corners tight. Otherwise, when you go to put your framing together, it's going to be too tight. It's going to rip. So we always just get your one corner in tight, grab it out a foot, and bring that back. Make a little fold in your plastic. That way you got enough material slack in your corner so you don't tear your vapor barrier. There's really no point in using a vapor barrier if you're just gonna tear it. Greg, what I did was I went -1 on my grade stick. So when I grab the bottom of this door, I'll be 0. When I move it to 0, it'll be the top of my trim. That okay with you? All right, man, thanks. All right, cool. Now that I got this set, I can go around and get the grade board on, or base trim. You're in the way, buddy. Oh. Dang, dude, we're back to finger biters. Oh, dang it. Pads load, let's go. So the really nice thing about using the laser is that we can assure not only for us that we're gonna be able to install our wall steel perfectly level, but also this gives the concrete guy a nice baseline to put all of his concrete at, because this has been shot on exactly at the bottom of all of our doors. So it's 4 inches up on that grade board. I know we always get the question about how this is finished and what happens. This vapor barrier, we just leave it here. So when the concrete comes, they can run their vapor barrier, they can run their rebar or mesh and pour right in it, giving us a fully encapsulated building. No moisture is gonna make its way from here where it's nice and warm out to the outside walls, condensing, causing issues in the future. So, all right, 1 piece inside corner. We've always done the outside corner. My measurement, 61.5. Now this is the key. You have to know what the depth of your trim is. 1 inch, okay? So that is the tight corner. That's the tight corner. We're gonna go 1 inch both ways. We're gonna come out with our 1 inch mark. Are you with me still here? Greg wasn't making so much stinking noise over there. Same as an outside corner. We did all the same 1 inch bends. Because we're folding in on itself, we have to take out all of this material here. Tab, yeah, of course I'm gonna use the tab, bro. Okay, so this is where we can make choices if we wanna go left over right or right over left. I'm gonna go left over right because we're gonna look here mostly, so your overlap will be covered. We won't be looking into it, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I'll make not a full straight, but kind of like an angled pitch into that corner so it doesn't ever get too tight. And then we're gonna come in here. You seen how this is gonna come together now, huh? Inside, beauteous corner, my guy. Beautiful. And there you have a 1 piece inside corner, 0 waste. It's not about the looks of it, man. I just like to use as little material as possible, you know? You already knew that. Now, we're gonna burn this up right here. Well, no, because see, this, if we use it anywhere, it'll be where? Like when we run into, like, okay, we can use this, we'll just cut it to this mark, right? But if we use this now, it's got a good factory right, a cut left. We'll stick it on, it'll be a perfect lap, and we'll bury it in, and that way we only have to cut 1 piece of steel. Okay? I don't know, sounds right. Why don't you hit your nail?
I did.
Dude, you missed like 10 times.
I missed once.
Hey, Greg.
What?
Just because you're on camera doesn't mean to be somebody you're not, okay? You're a nice guy. You don't act like that.
You're right.
Got all the ceiling done. We got all the vapor barrier on the walls. We got all that base trim shot on. We're kind of set up to go to town tomorrow. All my framing is supposed to come in. Check out that beam on this light. It's Unilight. I'll show you what it looks like. There it is. It's pretty simple. I don't want to shine it in the camera, but the thing is bright. Rechargeable. It's been on this one bar for the last 20-25 minutes. Sorry, I got my hands full. But what's cool is you can change the lights. So different warmth, colors. I think we got 2700 all the way up to 8500, I think. That's what it says there. See that? Pretty killer. And turn it off. Here we got different levels of brightness. So pretty cool. UK, I think they're in the UK. And just want to give them a little shout out. Thanks for sending me out the lights. I got a couple of them and they're definitely handy.